They go back since bowl cuts. He's Dave. He's JR. Two grown men who can't get enough of each other. It's Hangin with Homie. Let's start the show.
I'm rolling,
right,
but rolling
hey now.
down a river.
We got a lot of responses for this topic. It just happened to be the first one you brought up. Must have been burning on your mind to fully get it out there.
Yeah, man, it's part of my life I'm not particularly proud of, but
it made you who you are today.
Right, you got to start somewhere is the moral of the story. And hold on here, I can't. See, I'm getting anxious just thinking about talking about it. My glasses are fogging up over here.
It's stuff like this, and of course we're dancing around the topic is, why were you dumpster diving at the strip club? Because, I've been over to that establishment a few times in my day. I have been. And, but, usually you go inside. But
right.
The dumpster's outside, so...
Can't hang from outside the club.
Can't even get in. So how did you... It feels like you went more times than I did and more regularly. So what's the story here? How'd you even get in the dumpster?
I plead the fifth.
I plead the fifth. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no way a casual encounter, like you just going there and encounter, like...
Dave, I worked there. Let me just put it
It's
out there.
Now
Okay,
it's
let me
out.
put it out in the open.
All right.
How I wound up in that predicament. We got to rewind a little bit, right?
How did you even get this job?
Right.
How does one go about applying? Like, are you inside like, you know what? I could be that guy.
Well, okay. You're going to learn a tale today, ladies and gentlemen, about how I became a strip club DJ in Portland, Maine. Right off Exit 8.
If you know it as Exit 8, that's how you know. I know you've been there. If whoever says Exit 8, I go, I know where you've been.
Hey, and then you pay the toll with what?
Twos, baby.
$2 make you holla. So basically, this was I think it was a little bit of time after I had moved back from living out in California with you.
Okay.
I'm scrambling for a job. I'm working BS jobs. And my sister is a bartender at the gentleman's establishment, okay? And she's like, hey, they're looking for a new DJ. Like, you know music. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I could do that.
Had you done any kind of, did we do some parties? We probably did, yeah?
We did.
Hercules DJ, shout out.
Yeah, we did some parties for Sig Chi. We did some parties for... different sororities.
Yep.
C&Js we would spin at from time to time. So
we were just getting our reps in.
Right. So this puts you into the time period, right? This is like 2010 going into 2011.
Party, rock.
Basically. And little did I know how much DJing would change my life. But this is where, outside of, spinning a couple parties with you, this is where it all really began for me. Huh. And I go in. And I meet with the manager at the time. His name was Travis. And just a funny sidebar about Travis.
Need all the sidebars.
Yeah. So Travis tells me he used to work at the gentleman's establishment in Denver, right? And this was back when Elway was like the man out here, right? And he says, I used to always want to kick John Elway out because he would heat up quarters with a lighter and throw them at the dancers.
Oh my gosh.
Which I thought was like super messed up. I'm like, Mr. Elway, I again, this is alleged. I don't know this to be factual, right? This is just what I've been told from, Travis.
Right.
So he's the guy that I'm kind of doing the interview with, right?
Okay.
And he's kind of showing me around the booth. Hey, do you know how this works? How does your voice sound on the mic? And I just do my regular voice, And it's like, there's a certain style here in this industry that you really gotta, you gotta dial into, and whatever. And then basically the final question, and I'm gonna need you to bleep this out for me, Dave.
Yeah.
He goes, look, man, the job is yours. Just promise me you're not gonna f*** all the girls.
Damn. Just at least blunt about it. Jeez.
It's a very different industry from your typical, kind of 9 to 5. And that's how I got hired there. And I was doing what they called swing shift, right?
Okay.
It wasn't your prime time Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, just, stage parties, rowdy.
You got to earn your stripes. You got to work your way up.
Exactly. So I'm doing swing shift. At least I'm not doing daytime. Though maybe I would have rather have done daytime, because that's when all the doctors and dentists come in that tell their wives are going out to play golf.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I'm doing swing shift, and I'm kind of just like figuring it out, and I don't know, something about it. I got like anything that I do, no matter what it is, I want to be great at it, whether it's podcasting or DJing or radio or anything.
Trying to master your craft.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is a chance for me to make some serious loot, especially over the summer, right? Because my math was every dollar they tip is actually $2. So if I get $100 bills, I have $200. If I get 500 bills, I have $1,000. Quick math, right? StripClub math, right? You know what I'm saying, Playboy? Let me holler at you, Dave. So I'm doing my shtick, and over time, like, I feel like I'm getting pretty good at it. Maybe I was getting a little bit arrogant about it, a little bit, I was feeling myself maybe a little bit.
A little over your skis.
Let me just put it into perspective for you. I'm like a 25-year-old guy, and I'm DJing at a strip club surrounded by naked, beautiful women, right? So it was pretty cool, Yeah,
your ego's going to get a little inflated.
Yeah, until you kind of learn how the sausage is made, and then you're like, woof, I never want to go back, But it was still brand new, right? So let me fast forward to how I wound up, and there's hundreds of stories I could tell you about working here. I think I was there a couple of years before I actually started to become a DJ, right?
Got it, okay.
Not just like a creep J,
Okay.
And I would often bump heads. If you've ever been to this place that I'm talking about in Portland, Maine, there's a very specific man's voice that you've heard for like 2-3 decades. His name is Steve.
Established.
Yeah. Excellent voice. And then you get behind there and Steve's like a shorter guy, so you can't believe such a big voice is coming out of him, right? So I would try to mimic him. I'm like, well, he's the top guy here. Let me try to sound like him. And I remember filling in for him while he was out. And it was like I just went from playing for the Maine Celtics to the Boston Celtics.
Just like that.
Just like that within a night, because it was just mayhem, absolute mayhem. Like just so much money being spent, just so much. It was just wild.
And you're having to manage the songs and the dancers, and there's a lot happening. Yeah, it seems like there's a lot happening. If you're just a patron, you're like, entertain me, like I'm here, I paid.
Totally. And I created a binder, right? And this is where I would write down every girl's stage name and then what music and what vibe I felt went best with them based off their recommendations, right? I would often butt heads with the club because they wanted a certain sound in a certain environment. But I'm like, hold up. You're paying me $3.25 an hour to be here. These girls could tip me like a 20 or a 50. Get out of here, dude. Like I'm here to play for the women.
Right.
Often butt heads with them about that. But anyhow, I cover for Steve, and he had left some things in there from the night that he was like previously there. And there had been some food in a bag that had been sitting there for a couple of days. And it started to really stink up the booth. It was like an old tuna fish sandwich or something.
No, dude.
Just gnarly, bro. Just gnarly. Just reeking, bro.
Ugh.
And I'm like, oh, man. And the girls would come around like, what is that smell, JR? I'm like, oh, gosh, I think it's this bag. And there was fruit in there, too. And the fruit had gone bad. So I'm like, how would one fix that problem?
You throw it out.
You throw it in the trash, which is exactly what I did, right? Went about my night, blah, 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 blah. I get a text. I think it was a couple of days after. I think it might have been 2 or 3 days after, right? Hey, did you throw away my bag? I go, yeah, man. It seemed like it was like your lunch that you had left there, and it just started to just stink up the whole club, dude, especially the booth. It was bad. And he goes, why would you just throw away my things? And I'll replace the sandwich, whatever. It just, if I had it, it would still be there, And he's like, well, the watch that my son bought me for my birthday was in that bag. And it was some like high-end watch. Immediately I start thinking, is he fucking with me? Like,
right.
Who puts a high-end watch in with their lunchbox?
I guess.
Who's packing their rollie with their fruit roll-up?
I mean,
You
the
feel
thought
me?
is probably like, it's such an obvious place to look for a valuable that no one would, to the point that
Right.
they'd throw it away.
Right. So I had accidentally thrown away Steve's watch, his valuable watch. And not only valuable monetarily, but sentimentally as well. It was a gift from his kid, I'm like, damn, I feel really bad. I was like, hey, I will replace the watch. Well, what did it cost? It was hundreds
And
of
you're
dollars.
like,
I'm thinking, luckily, I just covered for him for 3 nights. So basically, that's all my money. But I'll be able to cover. He's like, it's not about the money. It's about it was a gift from my son. My only son, JR. And he's milking this fucking thing, brother.
oh, man.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. Well, did you look in the trash can? Yeah, it's gone. Everything was thrown to the dumpster. And I'm like, I'll be right there. I show up at the club on my day off. And I remember this like it was yesterday. I'm wearing a Terrell Owens Dallas Cowboys jersey with matching blue shoes and jeans. And it was at this moment, Dave, that I said, I got to do what's right. I got to jump inside of the dumpster that's inside the strip club.
Oh, man. It's inside?
Inside the strip club, like in the back.
Oh, brutal.
There's one door that separates it from whatever waste management truck
This
is going to come
like
get it.
the grimiest story setup I've ever heard.
Yeah. So imagine strip clubs can be dirty enough, right?
Right.
I'm going to where the dirtiest of the dirtiest is, bro. There are needles in there. There are like condom wrappers in there. There are just the grossest. There's underwear in there. There's. I'm not gonna say some of the other things that were in there because it is disgusting. Okay, I have on gloves, right?
Right. At least you got that.
Yeah, I think I even put like trash bags on my legs. You know what I mean? So I wasn't like just floating in the strip club waste of the abyss, Just
It's like that scene in Star Wars when they get stuck in the trash compactor.
Yeah.
And it's just like closing in on them. And there's all this muck, but there's like a beast that's living in the trash, dude.
There kind of was, yeah. So apparently this was the day that the waste management company would come and finally pick up the dumpster for the week.
Right.
They just hadn't arrived yet. They were late.
You lucked out there.
Sort of, but mind you, I'm in like 2 weeks worth of dumpster diving strip club trash up to my waist. And I'm going in each bag, opening it up because I'm trying to find a specific like Hannaford plastic bag that his stuff was in.
Right.
And I'm digging through. I'm like, ugh, that's definitely not it.
This is like a
Open up the next one.
montage scene, dude.
This should be at a sitcom somewhere, I swear, bro.
Just digging.
And I'm digging. And I have to like finally get out for a bit because it just smells so bad that I can't breathe it in, and it's toxic and it's just nasty, right? So I get out for a while, and then I bump into who, Steve. And he's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I'm trying to find your watch. And I think he gained a ton of respect for me
Yeah.
doing that. And because we would bump heads a little bit, I think he was like so good at his job for so long. And then this new young kid comes in and he knows a ton about music and what's now, you know? And I'm like the age of the girls there, you know?
He's like threatened. He's like, oh man, this guy has the potential.
Right. I think, and thank goodness I didn't see that potential through and make this my career. But
Yeah.
all right, you know, shoot the breeze with him. I'm like taking a deep breath, hop back in. I'm going through. I must have been in there for nearly an hour.
Man.
Right. And then finally at like the bottom of the bottom,
It's always the last place you look.
I grab this big bag out because what they'll do at the end of the night is they'll go pull the trash from every and then they'll compile it all into one.
Damn.
It's disgusting. Dude, I'm freaking out just thinking about it because it's so gross.
Yeah.
And I dig in there, and mind you, when I began the story, the food was already spoiled. So at this point, it's growing mold. It's got fungi. It's got little things crawling around. Like, it's just gross.
Ugh.
And then I open up that bag, and I find the watch.
Oh, yes, you found it.
I found the fucking watch, dude. No joke. I found the fucking watch, and I bring it to him. And he shakes my hand, and he says,
After you watched
I just gained a ton of respect for you. Holy cow, dude. I can't believe you just rummaged through nearly 2 weeks of Portland, Maine strip club dumpster trash to find this watch for me.
Wow. Gotta
Yeah.
give you a hand for that. That's true dedication to your work.
Yeah. Dude, I couldn't get that stench off me for like 4 days.
Well, yeah, and especially if you're going back doing shifts, it's not helping.
Yep. And then, of course, word of that spread around. Oh, man, that was so... I can't believe you did that, and can't believe you didn't catch anything, you know?
Hey, you hear this
gross,
guy?
dude.
He likes jumping in the trash.
Yeah, no, basically. Well, that was the thing, man. It was, okay, if somebody had thrown out my stuff, I'd be pretty pissed, you know? But given the circumstances that I could see how somebody could mistake that as, oh, that's just his food bag.
Well, easily. And if it's smelling that bad, you're not going to look. You're like, the bag smells. The food's in there. It's nothing that you want to mess with. And the fact that you told me it's a Hannaford bag, I thought it was like a lunchbox, because I feel like a zip lunchbox, you would at least open the zipper because it's a zipper or
Well,
a
I wouldn't have
plastic
tossed away that bag, yeah.
Exactly. But like a random Hannaford bag, you're like, nah, that's got to go.
Yeah. I mean, we all have hundreds of them, or we did, rather, under our sink, you know?
We might still.
Let's hope so. Because I'm seeing some of these things, especially here in Denver, plastic bags, people are selling them on Facebook Marketplace, and they're selling for hundreds of dollars.
What? Why, though? Because how much
I don't
do
know.
they charge at your store? 5 cents?
Well, here, they don't do plastic anymore. It's only paper bags.
Oh, so some people still want to rock with the plastic bag. Wow, that's a whole market I had no idea about.
Or they just want to have one for the sake of having one. I don't know.
I'm telling you, nostalgia is a hell of a drug. People will buy pretty much anything.
Yeah.
Dude, that's quite a story. I did not know that story. I've known you a long time, and I truly didn't know that.
Well, it's not one that I'm okay. I won't say that I'm not particularly proud of it. I'm proud that I did the right thing by somebody, you know? It's like, did I owe him that? Probably not, you know, but was it the right thing to do? I like to think so.
It showed a lot of character.
Yeah.
Dude, you literally swam through, all that junk, all that trash to find some treasure.
Yep. No, I did, man. And, it was, dude, that job, and we can dive into more about that. I'm not afraid of it. Like, I put that on my actual resume still.
That's awesome.
And it always gets a laugh out of any guy that I'm doing the interview with. So like, so dude, what was that really like? You know, like what did you get with any of the, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's like you said, it's part of it. You can't just be selective about your past. You don't have to be proud of everything, but that's part of it. It shaped you. And more importantly, you learned that was not an environment long term you wanted to be a part of. But in reality, it was really a springboard into entertainment.
No, it was, dude. It really was. And, I kind of looked at it that way, but the way that you just put it makes perfect sense, because immediately following that, I'm giving up my Saturday shift because we had just started doing Party Rock Fridays at the venue, me, Ryan, and Max.
Yep.
And they're like, hey, you're like giving away your shift more and more. Do you really want to be here anymore? And I'm like, no, not really. Because again, I'm playing for 400 or 500 people every Friday, just raging their face off, So I ultimately transitioned into actually DJing, but it was pretty wild, man. And the whole experience was really cool for like 6 months, because after that, seeing a bunch of beautiful naked girls kind of wears off on you.
This is like, this is just my job. Like, I've seen
You're
you
immune to
every
it.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I've seen you naked every Saturday and Sunday.
There's no more mystery.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what was a kicker, dude? Sunday shifts were a mother grabber, bro.
Really?
Because I would get there at 3 in the afternoon and I would leave at 3 in the morning.
That's a lot. That is a long 12 hours.
Oh my God. Because on that day, on Sundays, that DJ is doing 2 shifts.
And you got football, right? Football Sunday.
Yeah. And I used to try to like make it fun, right? If I'm going to be here, let me at least try to make it fun, especially for the girls so I can get good tips. So I started doing things like bringing in glow in the dark body paint for the girls.
Oh.
And if you remember being there, because I think I might have seen you there a couple of times back in the day.
I may have known, my boy may have been DJing there. I may have been able to get in for free a couple times.
Yeah, free lunch Friday, baby.
Free
Let's
lunch
go.
Friday. I was there a few.
Yeah. So I would, the truss up there you could bring down to where it was almost like right to the bottom of the stage. And I would turn off all the lights except black lights. And then people would suddenly stop watching football and whatever else is going on. And then there's this whole paint show. And I tried to do just fun, different things like that to try to and then I would get tipped and all my money is pink and blue and orange.
To explain that one to the bank. You're like, no, I do my own amateur Blue Man Group show. It's great.
Well, bro, you want to know something? I don't know if I ever told you. I was kind of embarrassed at first about the job, of course,
Because you're not sure how people are going to react.
Right. But, in this world, you have to do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do, So and this is why I'm talking about this today. I'm not embarrassed by it anymore. But at that point, the club wants to keep all of the 2s.
Yeah.
Of course. So they encourage everyone to trade in their 2s to get, 10s and 20s, whatever, right? But I wouldn't do that at first. And I didn't want people knowing what I made. And of course, I did not drive at the time.
Of course.
So I would shove all of the 2s into my front pockets to where it literally looked like that Hazard bar walking around with some thunder thighs. Because I had so many 2s shoved in my pockets. And I would walk to where I was at the time, where I lived.
Yeah.
And that happened for months. I never wanted anybody to know. So I had these shoe boxes that were just full of $2 bills, bro. And anytime you go through the toll, I know where you been, Bob.
Every time, man.
Every time.
You get a look.
And I recall one time even going shoe shopping with like $300 in $2 bills. Okay?
So 150 bills.
Stupid idea. I know, Dave. I know, but this is just there's
legal
no reason
tender. It's legal tender.
It was certainly tender. It came out of some girl's butt crack. So I'm in Freeport, bub, and I'm at the Nike outlet, and I decide I'm gonna buy myself some shoes. Because it's like, wow, I'm getting making this money at this job, and because it's in your hands that night.
Yeah.
And I buy some Nikes, but this kid, this like teenager, he's like, I'm sorry, I gotta get my manager. Hold on, I'm sorry about this. I'm like, no, it's all good, man, whatever. And she like comes over and she's like, what's the problem? He goes, well, I know like this is where the 1s and the 5s and the 10s and the 20s, like, but where do these go? And of course, the line is starting to build up behind me. So now everybody's seeing that I'm buying like a $90 pair of shoes in 2s. And she goes, do you see in here with all the other green ones? You put it right next to those ones.
Dude,
just
come
sucked him in front of
on.
everybody.
Dude, come on.
Yeah, I felt bad for him. I did.
Oh, my God. That is a riot.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, man. And again, there's just so many different stories and different things that happened to me there. Obviously, the worst one is dumpster diving at a strip club. I mean, I don't want anybody to ever experience that. But then there was some pretty risque things that happened there. There were some pretty... dude, I remember one time there was a full-on raid.
Really?
Like SWAT team raid. Oh, yeah, bro.
Were you at work?
I was there, and this was on like a Saturday morning shift.
Whoa.
And suddenly all these cops and German shepherds rush into the place, and we hadn't quite opened yet, right?
Yeah.
And I'm getting my, lineup set up, getting my first few songs set up, and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden it's mayhem. And like all these officers, SWAT team, and they bring the dogs into the girls' locker room, and they're sniffing and sniffing and sniffing, and they found a ton of drugs in one of the lockers. Oof. And I don't think they could prove whose it was, so nobody got arrested, but they got the drugs out of there.
Yeah.
And then I think it was at that moment I started, like, the blinders were off to where, oh, I'm surrounded by a bunch of naked girls, and I'm a 25-year-old dude, and this is cool. And then I'm like, wow, this is kind of gross here.
There's more to it, yeah.
Yeah, that's when you start to really see how the sausage is made. And then you see girls that, unfortunately have, like, pill problems or alcohol problems or whatever it might be, and they bring all that stuff with them to work. And some of it's pretty sad, for sure, I also recall one time... And I thought I was a comedic genius for this, by the way. I think I still might have this clip somewhere on an old drive. But this was before a Sunday shift, so I'm getting ready to go up against it, right? Like, it's going to be a long one. There's a guy who slept in his car from the night before, and he's still in the parking lot.
Yo, I think you might have sent me this clip way back.
Way back. I think I might still have it.
Okay.
Yeah. If we do, we'll have to toss it in because it's outrageous. Right. So this guy, the management, they're like, okay, look, we got to get this guy out of here. He like slept over, whatever, right? So the police show up. There's a couple guys. There's a lady officer too. And the guy gets out of his car, and it's like a bull moose in a china shop. Like, he's just out of his mind. And I don't know what's going on. So they're like, sir, get back. And I'm watching all this from the booth. I can see out the door, right, to the back. And it's like, sir, stop coming closer. Sir, don't get closer. And they pull out their tasers. And
light them up. Yeah, this is the clip.
So I run inside, and I'm like, what is it? Bad boys, what you gonna do? Drop it in, and I hit it, and I crank it. And it's like, dude,
getting tased to a soundtrack, man.
Oh my God. And I just hope that this guy could hear it, and he just knows, like, there's this story he could tell. Yeah, I was in a bad place. I got tased by the police, and somebody played the Cops theme song from inside. Everybody started laughing. I turned on the red and blue lights, dude. It was just so stupid. Yeah.
You made, I think that's one thing about you. You always make the best of whatever kind of situation you're in, job-wise. Anything, man. And this, this proves it. It was just good that you could have the awareness to know, like, hey, this is not my final stopping point. It's not even my first stop, really. It's just like, this is before the train for the career got going.
No, it was, yeah. And I try to, like, it's, if you're there, you really got to try to always make the most of it, right up until you can't, until it's time to pivot and do something else. But I'll tell you, man, as crazy as some of the stories are there, as sad as some of them are, because I know, some people that were really good people, that had just a hard time with substances and stuff. And, that's always hard to see. But it was definitely a stepping stone for me into becoming more of an entertainer, immediately following that. I just started DJing, and then that spills into the next thing and spills into DJing on the radio and then becoming the co-host and then moving to Nashville and then iHeart calls. And it's just been a wild, wild ride, bro. And being able to kind of talk about it like this out loud, it makes me appreciate it. And it's like, way to kind of make something out of nothing. Do you know what I mean?
You made something out of nothing. That's it.
Yeah.
You had a thought. You had an idea one day. I think I could DJ. I think I could actually do that.
Yeah. Man, like, and now talking about this out loud is making me think about, once I did transition into actually becoming a DJ. Okay, before we do that, I feel like I have to give you the voice at least one time.
Yeah, we need to hear, because I've heard it, because I've been in there. Like, you can turn it on, and when we're talking every once in a while, you do it. But for the listeners and the audience, listen, this is, in my mind, this is top, first class. If you think of a strip club DJ voice, this is it.
I want to tell you about getting into actually becoming a DJ, but first things first, one of my favorite girls to work with, her name was Nadia, right? She always tipped so well, and I always played her the coolest music. So, for example, here's her coming off stage, and I'm going to sell her to the audience for VIP dances and champagne suites, okay? If we can throw in some sort of like generic Nickelback beat bed, all right, it would make it so much easier. But I'm going to eat the mic here for a second, so I apologize if it's a little boomy, okay? All right, guys, all right. Coming down right now for the main stage, it's the Naughty Nadia. Now available for VIP dances and champagne room suites, fellas. Don't be a schmuck. Dig out that buck. Feel alive. Get out the 5. She's worth it. All right, coming over right now, it's Corvette. Get a look at those headlights. Honk, honk. Trust me, the airbags work on that one.
Man.
You would just, here's the thing is you would say the creepiest stuff, but if it was in line with the show, quote unquote, you couldn't get in trouble.
It's on brand.
Right. If I said something like this to the girls off stage, they'd be like, okay, you're in trouble. You know, that's sexual harassment.
In real life, you don't say that, but your character, we're going to play. It's like, it's like wrestling. It's like you're playing a part.
Oh yeah. And I would give her certain lights. I would give her certain music. I would even bring in certain sound effects. Like certain girls that tipped well, I really went out of my way to take care of them. And you're probably wondering, the ones that didn't, well, they would dance to whatever I wanted to hear, and often it was like Justin Bieber, just to stick it to him, you know?
Man, petty. Yeah. You petty Betty sometimes.
Yeah, hey, we're all in this world to make a little bit of money, you know, and that's what I was there to do. So,
man.
But no, dude, you're right. It ultimately got me ready to become more of an entertainer, because you have to remember at this same time, like, Flip Shades and Nikes was starting to happen.
Yep. Getting your mixtape together, starting to figure out your own brand.
Yep.
And it just turned out that you got to do entertainment to make money.
Yeah. And if you remember, it was me working at that club which introduced me to this dancer named Ariel, which ultimately introduced me to our friend Max, who decided to become my manager.
Right.
So it was so bizarre how all that happened.
Yeah.
And from there, I became like a rapper, and I'm doing shows and performing on stage, and then I become a DJ, which was, dude, I literally locked myself in the basement in my Westbrook apartment for months, and I just watched YouTube videos over and over and over and I would practice about, all right, how do I mix in this song? How does this work? Why do some songs have like an 8-bar intro and some have a 6? Like, what is this? And just figuring it all out, right? And the tough part about that was you're learning it yourself, but it's so exciting because you're learning a new skill.
Right.
And a lot of the DJs in my area at the time, with all due respect to them, they come from like an older generation that were kind of gatekeepers.
Yeah, of information, sure.
Exactly. They didn't want to share anything with you because they wanted to hold on to their proverbial spot, right? And I'm already getting known around town for my music and stuff. It's like, well, we can't have him doing both, right? So,
but wouldn't you look at
eventually,
that? It's the same as now you're a radio jock. You know, you've been one for a while, but today in 2024, and now all the other jocks that don't have the video background and the editing background you have are like, how do I do that? And you say, I don't have time to teach you, but we've never been in a time where you've had more access to more free information to figure it out. Because, I mean, yeah, you had me to help you, but there's a lot of me's out there that have video skills that those other jocks could just latch onto and learn.
And you know, one of the things you would do is you wouldn't always hold my hand throughout the whole thing of whatever I was trying to do. Sometimes you would send me a link and say, here's how I learned it. And then I knew, okay, I can learn it the same way. And if I have any questions, sure. But I'm not going to just take time out of your day to show me how to use this one thing. And that, dude, you bring up a really good point, because I've been having this thought a lot as of late. And I feel so lucky and fortunate to have a background in emceeing from the club, right? From DJing, all the different schools and special events, and then learning how to do video from you. It's like I can go anywhere, and it's like a one-stop shop content creation kit. And I feel like so many jocks before me that are even still in the industry now, they no disrespect to them, but they only know how to do one thing.
Right.
And that's just host their show.
Yeah, and they rely on a team if they wanted to do more content.
Yep.
And you're like, well, I am the team. Now, you would have a whole lot more free time if you had a team.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
But you don't need it, and that is the skill. When you don't have to rely on other people, that's how you get to keep going. You're not slowed down.
Yeah, there's only so much time in the day, is the old expression, and it can be tough sometimes trying to do all that, yourself. But man, there's something about the challenge that just gets me going. It's like it's you learning new things about audio from me that maybe you didn't know before, because it's something that I was just able to learn. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know, man. I feel like I will get to that age eventually where I shut off that like faucet where it's like the knowledge stops. I don't want to learn anything else anymore. I'm tapped out.
But you will. Now, I think what you're getting at is you don't want to learn more like job skills. So then what'll happen is you'll want to be like, let me go be a TMNT WWE like historian full time. It's like all the comedians always say, once you hit a certain age, you're either really into World War II or craft beer. And I already know you're not going to be into craft beer, so I guess it's WW2 for you.
Yeah, dude, and it already has kind of gotten there. I've been watching a lot of stuff about Hitler and
you brought up conspiracies.
Yep.
That's just
yeah, dude. I'm into some stuff. All right.
Yeah.
I'm dabbling though. I'm figuring it out.
As we get older. But I think it's a good point. Like, I did get to a point in making films and videos and doing corporate, and I've done almost every kind of video, probably done almost every role on the TV in a movie set, and I said, okay, I kind of checked all these boxes. I could keep doing things, but I did it all. Not everything, but I was fulfilled, and I decided, let me do something else. And the great thing about having this shop is I don't have to hire a marketing team because I can do it myself.
Right, and that brings me to the question I was just going to ask you. Even with you taking the pivot and opening up a brick and mortar collectible shop, it's like, okay, maybe, and again, I'm going to think out loud as if I'm you real quick. Just, amuse me here. Man, this would be really cool to do. But I don't know, like, I didn't take business in college. I don't necessarily, but my dad has so much knowledge and he's been so successful at it for decades. I can learn from him. And my brother's having success with it as well. I can learn from him on that. And then it's like, okay, but who am I going to hire to myself? You were able to take every skill that you learned about content creation and film and audio, and again, all these skills that you learned before being a content creator, quote unquote, was even a term. And you were able to pull all of that into business and say, okay, the business is going to kind of run itself, but where the money is going to be is when I get the channel up and going and I'm able to make content about my day-to-day life at the shop. To me, it's hot ice, Dave. It's the best of both worlds.
Best of both worlds. I mean, that's pretty much it. You see complementary pieces around you, and then it's like, oh, I don't have to do everything, but I'll do the one thing I'm really good at all the time. Yeah. Like, when you make your videos, you don't have to make the absolute best video, but your audio is always absolutely the best. So hey, if I hit this bar, that's good enough, and it'll keep going up. But like in the shop, I don't need to know how to buy everything. I don't need to know how to list everything. I just need to be able to identify a deal and then say, hey, Tim, I know this is a good deal. I don't know exactly how good of a deal it is, so I'm going to hand it off to you now so you can take it to the finish line.
Yeah. No, it's smart. They say the smartest people, they do what? They surround themselves with the smartest people.
Smarter people,
right?
Yep. Like everybody around me, just they do something that I don't do well. Or they do something even just as good, but I don't have the time, so I need to replace myself. Like, I want more time to just hang out. Honestly, I'm never going to have it, but I want more time to just hang out.
No doubt, man. Well, I hope we get the time to have you come back out here to Denver at some point, because I know last time you came here, we were able to go to a Broncos game and the iHeart pre-party.
That was sick.
It was so fun, bro. They got Madden going. They got DJs in there, the cheer squad, and
the food. It was all about the food, bro.
Yeah, and open bar.
Open bar,
like,
dude.
What?
I was like, all right. I'm like, DD, open bar. This is perfect.
Yeah. So I'd love to be able to get you out here again. If not, my plan is to come up to Maine in July.
Dude, it's coming soon. Your birthday's coming, and so you got to keep hammering those weights, bro. Keep getting in shape.
It's going to happen, brother. You just wait. I'm gonna send you a text one day, like beginning of July, shirt off, and you're going to be like, what the
like,
holy cow, dude.
Dundee or nothing, bro.
You're still fat, but you're looking better.
But the confidence is on 10.
Yeah, that is on 10, dude. But I mean, as we wrap up this episode here about my dumpster diving at the strip club, which again I recommend nobody ever attempts.
We took a deep dumpster dive into that story.
Hold on,
I had to. I was waiting to use that one.
Is there any, as we wrap this one up, any other questions that you have for me about my time there? Anything you're curious about?
Yeah. I have one to wrap it up.
What do you got?
Was the moment that, or a day or shift where nothing was going right and you just were like, this is not for me. This is so difficult. Why is this so difficult today?
Yeah. Gosh, man. I don't know if I can recall like a particular day or a particular shift. But what would happen sometimes is you'd have your set list for your girls, and depending on how many girls you had and how big your audience was, that would determine how many songs they would dance to, right? Like if it was you're just opening and there really isn't anyone there, they're doing 3 songs and they're only doing 1 stage. But if it's popping and you're packed, they're doing 2 songs and then they're going to Satellite 2 and then they're getting down, right? But there would be times where girls would just refuse to go on stage. And some of them would toss me like a 10 or a 20. Hey, take me off the list. I'll take care of you. I'm working this schmuck over here. I'm about to get all his money. All
right.
And I'm like, yeah, get all of them.
Dude, you just turned instant Vince McMahon.
I'm like, that's good, pal. But some girls, they wouldn't, and they would just miss and it would throw everything off. And then you'd have a girl come over. Hey, why did you just play that song for her? That's my song.
Oh.
And I'm like, that's your voice?
Yeah, you made that?
No, but that I always dance to that song. And then it's like, well, you're not getting a good tip then, and I'm not going on stage anymore.
Yikes.
I'm like, well, you can just take it up with the manager.
Take it up
right?
with management.
Yeah. It's, you would have things like that would happen. And then, man, I don't know if there's a story that I want to tell you.
It's all good. Know. That's enough. Yeah. I think we got to call it. Ding, ding, ding. Like, ring the bell. Ring the bell.
Because, I don't mind sharing this fun, silly stuff. But,
some things always you got to keep to
use
yourself.
Your imagination, okay?
Yeah.
Just use your imagination. There's some wild stuff that's like wild stuff. But we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, things like that would happen, and you would just you could tolerate it for a while, but then you're just like, what am I doing with my time?
Yeah.
Why am I dealing with this? And then in the winter, you would make for pay because nobody came out to the club in the winter.
It's cold.
So none of the girls
Snow.
would make money.
Yep.
It's too cold. So you would literally work like an 8-hour shift, and you would leave with I had nights where I would leave with $13 in my pocket. Off an 8-hour shift.
Dude, that's demoralizing.
Yeah, that's why summers, you needed to stock up. Because once it got cold in Maine, if I had this gig down in, I don't know, Florida, I'm sure nonstop fun. But up in Maine,
It's seasonal. I'm seeing it here even in retail. And so you got to have strategies, figure out how to get your online popping. And, you just need to survive through the slow and the weird off months and weeks and collect when the tourists come.
Yes. The last thing that I want to say to our incredible audience here is if I can overcome a stutter, if I can make my start in a filthy strip club, right? And no disrespect, because some of the people that I worked with there were really good people. But if I can overcome those to achieve what I have over these last 10, 12, whatever it is years, you can accomplish anything that you want to.
Literally
remember,
anything.
Anything. You have to do what you have to do sometimes before you can do what you want to do.
Great line. Great way to wrap it up. Little inspo for everybody.
Yeah. I think I might go on tour and tell this story to everybody.
I learned something today.
Yeah, for Dave, my name is JR. This has been Hanging with Homie. Thank you so much for watching, listening. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And most importantly, remember, it's cool to be you. Peace.
Peace.